Thank you. I guess we should stay seated, huh? Would it be easier from that perspective?
All the questions.
Would you like to stay seated or stand? It's up to you. We'll stand. Okay.
We're gonna stand.
We'll stand. You want to stand on us?
No,
We'll stand a little bit. Yeah, I know, right? We really do. Wow. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
I love my voice in this room.
It's
and
echoey.
everyone, welcome.
Welcome, everybody. I'll let ladies go first.
Hi, my name is Carol C. Bailey, and I'm an actor.
Hello, my name is Adam Vernier, and I too am an actor. And we are also the Central Florida representatives for SAG, the Miami local. Mm-hmm. And the Miami local covers all of Florida, Puerto Rico, and Alabama. The name, the Miami local, changed because of the merge between SAG and AFTRA, which you probably know about. Mm-hmm. But we are the Miami local that covers all of that. We want to make it really informal. We do, lots of questions and stuff. You probably have a lot of questions. We'll tell you about ourselves, and then we'll kind of get into some other things, and then we'll take questions. So, Carol, would you like to start, or would you like me to? We'll flip a coin?
No, we'll just keep the ladies first thing going.
All right, I like it.
Right, ladies?
We're in the South.
We're going to take our spot. If they're going to let us have it, we will take it, yes. And the mic guy said it's really hot, it's really good, and it's perfect. I love the acoustics. So I'm actually Jamaican. I was born in Jamaica, West Indies. I came to America at age 16 to be an actor. I read about SAG-AFTRA, and I was like, whatever. No, SAG. It was a SAG right then, and then AFTRA. I'm an avid reader. Whatever that is, I want to be one of them. And I don't know if you know, there are only 160,000 members in SAG-AFTRA throughout the world. And so I consider it a fortune to be one of those and to be on the board. I was vice president of our board for a while, and then I'm still on the board, advocating for union work in a right-to-work state. And I have met people, oh, how can you be union in a right-to-work state? And I'm like, how could I not be? All right, just a brief overview. You have a union contract, right? Okay, Brother Tiger kind of messed it up for us, y'all. When he did commercials here, at least 600 people were working. Extras, auxiliary staff, everybody, and it was always overtime. And working in the union with a union contract, if you come early, you get paid. If you stay late, you get paid. There's overtime, there's double time, there is.
Golden time.
Golden time.
But there's one thing about that. There's commercial contracts and then film and TV contracts. They're completely different. So when we were on strike for the film and TV, the commercials weren't there. But going what Carol said about the Tiger Woods commercials, literally like Centura, which I learned is an insurance group or a financial group, only learned it because they would book us every year for 5 days.
Yes.
And you would get there at 5 o'clock to a golf course. And SAG rate then I think was like $380 was scale. And they would...
for 8 hours.
For 8 hours. And then you would always get the overtime you're talking
Yes.
about, the unions. And they had to have at least 40 SAG members there as
Yes.
background for it. And so it was still a caste system where the 40 SAG extras were in the AC, and then all the non-union actors, literally like 100 or 200 in a big tent. But you couldn't have a survival job if you were a union actor in Florida because you were going to Miami. You were going to Tampa. You were constantly auditioning and doing work. And that kind of went away. But I wanted to just touch on that because she was talking about the commercial contracts.
But we're going to touch on that some more. Y'all, my first commercial I did, I was an extra non-union Gary Player commercial in Longwood. He flew in on his helicopter. It was so cool. We're all standing around. So union and non-union are all together, right? So you don't really know who's who unless you know. So I'm standing with my friends, and it's lunchtime, and they vanished. I went to the tent and I got a box lunch because I was non-union at the time. Box lunch with a sandwich, an apple, a bag of chips, and a soda. And that was my lunch. But I came out the tent and I smelled something in the air. Like, that smelled like prime rib over there. So my friends came back and we were standing together and like, oh yeah, we went to the clubhouse. We ate on cutlery. Yes, we had the waiter. And then to get paid, I'm a non-union union contract at that time. So it was $100, and your agent takes 20%. So I got in, I think it took me 2 or 3 months to get paid, y'all. So I got my $80 in 3 months. And I ran into one of my friends who was standing there, and I was like, oh, I finally got paid. She's like, finally? She's like, no, we get paid within 10 days of them paying our agent. And we made how many hundreds of dollars because they pay the agent's fee, and we get paid overtime and meal penalties. And if you got to come early, is early pay, and late is late pay. You get wet is wet pay. It's all the pays. And so I said to myself, this is why I came to America. If I can be on a union project beside my union brothers and sisters, and there's a non-union person here making $80, and we're doing the same thing, just standing there clapping, y'all. And I say, yes, as soon as I'm eligible, I'm joining. And that's what I did. And there's no turning back for me. Everybody has, their own
agenda,
convictions and such. But my conviction is like, I want to make the money, all of it.
Well, as you filmmakers, and you say, well, it sounds like it's going to be really expensive for me to make my project union. We kind of brag about it because by being a union project, you escalate your project right off the bat from being, a non-union project, which isn't a bad word to people that are just starting out, to people that are green, but to anyone that's been in the business for a little while, it's like, oh, it's non-union, and you get that kind of the RCA dog kind of like looking at you. You're like, oh, yeah, bless your heart, have fun, and it is. I mean. The advantages of making your project union, and obviously the advantages of being union, are it's so hard to explain when you're on the union side of it. I was trying to figure out if I wanted to go with how we got our car. Like every American, I have a podcast. It's called Hurry Up and Wait. But one of the things we talk about in the Hurry Up and Wait is, getting your car. The first question we ask, and we have directors, producers, actors, makeup artists, everybody, union and non-union. But the first question we ask is, how'd you get your card? And everybody has a story. So if you ever want to get an actor or a producer or someone in makeup talking to you, you just ask them how they got their card. And everyone's got a great story. If you have a card and you'd like to share your story, I'm going to tell my story now and how I got it. So I graduated college. I went to Missouri State University, and I graduated, and I came down here for a one purpose and one purpose only, and that was to get my SAG card. And you think in Florida, why would you come to Florida? At the time, this was 1996, I'm old, this was the place. Florida was the place to be. There were so many projects. We had the incentives going, and there was just so much work. So I came here in 96 to get my card. I got my card in November of 1998. I did a SAG National with Ken Griffey Jr. It was a Pizza Hut commercial, and it took me from November 98 to February 6th of 99 to get out. And I joined, SAG had an office at that time here in Central Florida, and it was right on Colonial. And so I stopped with my U-Haul truck and my dog in the car, and everything I owned, and I paid my $1,200 to get my union receipt because they couldn't issue a card, obviously, and I drove to LA. So I was in LA for 5 years. We had a commercial strike during that time, so that's when I got very interested in the union, how it works, all the ins and outs of it. The differences between the commercial contract and the film and TV contract, which we'll cover, are huge. But that's how meaningful the union is to me. So in this town, there are a lot of people that they have a feeling about union and non-union, and absolutely, you are definitely entitled to that. Of course you are. I always recommend to actors to do any work they can get until they decide to join the union, and then stay with the union. There are actors that will, cross that line. They'll do union and they'll do non-union and not think twice about it. We encourage them not to, obviously, but that is their choice in a right-to-work state. It is a federal law that you can't tell someone not to work just because they're in a union. So you do have that. But as a filmmaker, I don't know how hard the argument is to you guys because we haven't really talked yet. But I know some people that are very headstrong about, the unions are going away. We're not going to ever make union films, and they are stuck to it. But I also know people that have been in that position, and then they obviously try to make a film, and they try to get good talent. They try to get professional, and it just doesn't really work out for them. There's a film that's starting next month, and the producer happens to be a friend of mine, and he called me about a month and a half ago, and he said, I'm doing a film, and I'm convinced by other people to make it non-union. Change my mind. And I'm happy to say that he's doing an ultra low budget, which for the actors is $251 for the day. But to an actor that's union, it's work. You know, it's work, and you can sleep in your own bed at night, which, you know, that's been forever for most actors that have credits, that we get to sleep in our own bed in Orlando. The Right Stuff was the last one. That was what, 2021, 2020? Yeah. Yeah, a little bit before. It was after COVID, I think. Was it after COVID? I don't remember. Anyway, not the old one, but prior to that, it was like 2007 that we had a lot of stuff going on here where, you know, the SAG-AFTRA work was obviously different. But we want to say that if you have questions or anything, we definitely want to make it a Q&A. And Carol wanted to talk about AI and the strike and how that affected us.
Oh, before AI though, this is how. So I have my card. Yes, love it. So this is how I got my card. I did a lot of B-roll stuff at Disney with my children, and you know, Disney, you signed the contract. This lifetime and any lifetimes yet to be discovered. I was like, if they discover another lifetime, I'm gonna buy me some more hair, and it won't be me that look like that girl. So did B-roll, had a husband, you know, play husband and children. We were walking through Disney. We were downtown Disney. It was a whole 1 or 2 days, 3-day shoot. And for Disney at that time, all right, so they have the black, the white, the Hispanic family. We all have our own trailers, and you're in your trailer and you're driving. So, which I'm glad for the Crown Act right now, because I'm in my trailer and I had gotten wet in one of those slide things, and the young lady, she was Caucasian, and my weave had gotten wet, y'all. So she's like, "Oh, your hair! What am I gonna do with it?" I was like, "It's hair. You're gonna blow dry it and then you're gonna curl it." Oh, give me the thing. And so, but now that doesn't happen, because the thing with the new contract is to have someone on set that can do your hair, no matter what your ethnicity is. And you don't have to worry about your hair getting fried or fringed or whatever, cut off, all that jazz. And so that was just for Disney. I did this commercial. And one day I get a phone call. I went to acting school here at Lisa Maley's, and she said, she'd give us scenarios. This is how you could get your card. And she's like, this one never happens. So I'm at home, and my business, there's a hurricane coming. Hello, this is DDB Chicago, calling to see if you're available. We lifted a spot from a Disney spot, and we're putting it in a McDonald's national commercial. Say that again. And so they FedExed me the contract. We drove to Atlanta because the hurricane was coming. I didn't want my contract to get lost, y'all. So yeah, we drove to Atlanta, dropped the contract off, and this was a national commercial. So national commercials, they pay you based on the area that you live in, how many multipliers of people. It's kind of like the Nielsen rating thing. How many people are watching, they multiply it by that. How many times it comes on the web, everything. And you're getting just checks and checks and checks until they say, oh, that's the end of the contract. And you still miss the checks, and you go look one more time and see if there's another check. So that's how I got my card. And national commercials are beautiful. There are not too many of them anymore, but we just pray that they'll come back. So when we were in the strike, we had a convention. We always have a convention every 2 years, the union, and usually they'll fly us out, the ones who, because we get voted for if you're selected as a convention delegate. So we're at Zoom meetings at home, and President Fran comes on and is like, oh no, we are suspending right now the convention because we have to go back to the table. And to find out later on, it was the AI bit of the contract that was causing just a little bit of kerfuffle, because the companies wanted to say you're sitting here and they're shooting, and oh great, this is a great looking crowd, we're gonna shoot them, and then we're gonna put them in background in our movies, whatever movies we use, we don't need their permission. And they wanted to do that. Like you signed for one thing, or you might not even have signed yet, but they wanted to just take your image, use it wherever they wanted to without having your permission. And the union was like, no, we're not doing that. We're not playing in that sandbox today. And so it took them a few more weeks to iron it out, so that now the way the contract stands, if you're on a project, you sign for it, and then they scan you, they have to get your permission. Then they say, we'll use you in this other project. Then that's another contract you have to sign, because this contract goes for this project, and every other contract has a different, every other item of whatever they're doing is a different contract. And that's why we have agents, too, to advocate for us, to fight for our every dollar. But I wanted to share that because in case you guys wanted to know. And also, we have a micro budget, like $20,000 that you could do a union film. And the thing, too, with the union is to know that for Miami Local, you're here, you can always call the Miami office if you have a question like, I want to make my film union, but I only want this, and I'm not really sure about that. And they'll sit on the phone with you. They'll help you with your contracts. We have a representative a business executive who travels. He'll travel to you if he's like in the area, or you're like, I just want to sit down with somebody and look at the black and white and see how this is beneficial for me, my company, and where we're going. And so we're here for all of you for that.
And on that, it's I know that one of the first knee-jerk reaction when you ask someone, well, why wouldn't you want to go union? They say, I just don't have time to do all the paperwork and da-da-da-da. We have had countless meetings to try to make that a faster process. And for the one Carol's talking about, the micro, it has been. It's literally a couple clicks of a button and an agreement, and you could do that. For that one. Again, going back to the commercials being separate from the film and TV, in an interest to try and get non-union commercials to be union, these are like, well, I don't want to say brands, but like a local hardware store that's using television as their medium for commercial advertising, and we want them to be union, but they're not. We can't see the benefit in that. It costs too much and all this stuff. So the union came up with a smaller contract that was basically a new media contract that would make it easier for them to do that. What happened is there was no provisions there that said that Toyota couldn't also use that same thing. So the national commercials that Carol's talking about, that $100,000, $200,000, which is not odd. I mean, that's national commercials can be like that. Suddenly they're almost $3,000 for everything. They also maxed out at $20,000 for one of, not the new media, but the other one, which that's going back and around. So when the commercial contract comes up, that's going to go away, which makes it harder now for non-union commercials. But again, totally separate contracts.
Yes, and so we're talking. There was a gentleman. Where'd he go? Come on down. Our first. He had a scenario, and he was telling us, I was like, I want him to share it just in case anybody else had the same question or had a similar scenario. And so we'll stand here so the camera can pick you up. And
thank you. What do you want me to tell? Just the first part? The whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was a child, and somebody's taking my picture. Is that part of the contract? Oh, it's with you guys. Okay, it's safe.
But there's a camera. We gotta be cute.
Can I say the name?
Yeah.
The name of the commercial?
Yeah.
thing? Okay, so it was a Super Mario Brothers Nintendo commercial, and I guess what they did it was to avoid paying contracts to the other kids. They hired the whole school as extras, but the very nice union people, they said, I said, can I be a special extra? I just went to whoever looked like they were, in charge and working. And they looked at me and they said, yeah, you could be a special extra. So, I just jumped in, I was a kid. They said, well, if you sign the contract, you get $700 as a special extra. I was like 11, and $700 back then was a lot of money.
Still is.
So, so I signed the contract. I was in the commercial, but there were some problems because my mother wouldn't come to verify the signature, I guess. I never got paid. Yeah.
So he was telling us that story, and we're like, where are your parents? Because as a minor, a contract requires a parent. Take it away.
Oh, yes. I was trying to go back to the. Well, did you ever get your money? Was the question. Did SAG help you out?
I didn't know to call SAG.
Right.
Say I already signed the contract.
Right.
My mother was making a lot of money. She wasn't driving to.
Oh, I got you. Okay. All right. Well, there's also talks about. I don't know. Probably don't want to talk about commercials as much as we do film and TV for you guys, right? I have no one's goal is to make commercials really as a filmmaker. So,
maybe.
But maybe it is. I don't want to discount that. That's a steady job. Yes, sir.
Well, what about programmers?
What about
Producers that are producing software? 'Cause now I produce software.
since the mic's not there? He's asking about producers who produce software. I'm not thinking that there's a union for that yet. It might be new media. But are you asking about like residuals for that, or what are you asking?
I've lived in Florida my whole life. I don't know much of anything about unions.
Right.
I've been prevented from learning about unions. Every time I've tried to join a union in different industries, I've been fired.
Right.
So this issue, I would have loved to, when I started as a programmer, down on the totem pole, I would have loved to have a union. I contacted the Telecommunication Workers of America when I was doing voice recognition programming. And they thought I was crazy, but I explained that we were just operators. They said, we're just operators. And I said, well, we're just operators with a computer.
Right.
You know?
I know, like for EA Sports, which was here in larger capacity for many years, it still is, but I guess a little low. The voices that you hear on the games, Madden and the Tiger Woods and all those are all union contracts. They're voiceover contracts, but it's still the same as a principal performer. I did one in 2010, and it was $824 for the day, but the day. It's an 8-hour day, they say, but you can only work for 4 because you had to save your voice and everything. And then those days came out, and I tell you this because you're a producer. Those things came out like if you had one line that had to be a wild line that had to be redone, you would have to pay the actor that day, to the whole day, for him to come and just say 3, and that's it. So if that answers a little bit, that's for the talent, though. That's not so much for the producer to be in the union. And it also obviously geographically makes a big difference as well. I'm on radio in this town, and I've been in radio my whole life in different towns. And a buddy of mine left here and moved to Pittsburgh and immediately called me like, okay, I got to join a union because it's Pittsburgh, obviously. But the unions do cover voices and voiceover actors as well. If that kind of answers your question. Do we want to go is anyone dying to ask a question? I could tell more stories. We can tell more stories. Yes, sir. Oh, right behind you, yes.
So my question would be, is there, I'm trying to shape it as a question, is there any kind of communication mechanism that somebody like myself who very much likes SAG and wants to be a part of it, but I keep changing industries, sadly. But how do I communicate with SAG? I'm on a low budget.
Are you asking for, like, you're producing a project and you want to hire SAG actors, and is that your question? Or you want to join the union and you're wondering how to do that?
I guess kind of both, because the only contact I have high up was like one of the heads of the carpenters union, but I was a nurse at the time, and so I went to him and I said, hey, I've tried to join the nursing unions, which are affiliated with the AFL-CIO, and you're a big guy in the AFL-CIO. Can you help me out? And his response was, I only know about carpentry.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's if I'm in the union, I can get more work question. And the union I've been told very bluntly, SAG's job is not to get you work. SAG's job is to protect the work once you get the work. So it's all up to you on getting the work. And SAG will, put out, breakdown for something if they're asked to. But for the most part, it's not something that will help you or benefit you to getting you more work. Where you would contact them as a producer is when you wanted to use the talent, when you wanted to hire somebody that's union, and even that goes for crew, IATA, and union crews if you wanted to go that route for your project. For the most part, yeah.
And also, one of the ways of becoming eligible is being on set. So you're on set, and union people, non-union people, but they need your type. And so they pluck you out of the non-union people and say, go to the tent, we're upgrading you. And so then they bring you a union contract, and then you sign that, and now you're upgraded, and now that makes you eligible because you signed a union contract. So the thing is that work begets work. So if you say you're there on set, and then they pick you out, and they upgrade you right there, or if you did a non-union project, like how I got my eligibility, and then they pluck your spot out and make it a national or something, then they'll send you a contract and say, you're now eligible, and would you like to join and to fill this paperwork out? And your eligibility pretty much just goes on and on and on until you decide, yes, I'm going to join.
And the pros of doing your film, your project, of course, the protections that you and the crew and the cast, everyone would have, are so much more for a union film, obviously, than a non-union film. That you might think, well, that's going to stifle me from my vision, my dream, and I want to do. But it's going to be safe for everybody, and that's the main thing. Safety, intimacy coordinators is a new thing, well, semi-new. That it's a must on a set, and they come out for anything where anyone might feel uncomfortable. And in today's day and age, everyone feels uncomfortable at everything. So you need that intimacy coordinator to make sure that everything's okay. And you're like, well, I'm a producer. The cost. In the long run, it's going to be worth it. Your film's going to have more legitimacy. It's going to be safer. You're going to get the best talent, the best actors. There are enough non-union people to do your film. There's no question about it. But the union people, you'll notice a difference when you put out the breakdown and you start seeing the self-tapes come in. You'll see the difference. You'll know the difference. And if you've never been on the casting side of it, 9 times out of 10, you know the person. You know what you have in mind, and then you see it, and you're like, that's it.
You hear the voice.
And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a union actor, in my experience.
But even commercial again. Sorry. I was being an extra in Miami on a Gatorade commercial, and it was covering Thursday and Friday and Monday and Tuesday. And the people who were in charge didn't really understand the union contract. So, when you have to eat within a certain time, you have to have a break, you have to have a hot lunch, there are many things that have to happen. And so we are on set, and then we're in a basketball area, and there was smoke. Now, that's smoke pay. There was smoke. Oh, don't worry about it. And then at the end of the day, they wouldn't give us a copy of our contract. Like, no copy of our contract? Who does that? Okay, where's the snacks? Oh, there are no snacks. All right, write that down. Hello, union. And so we happened to be in Miami and called the union office. And even pretty much wherever you are, they'll send someone to your set to say, why didn't you give them a copy of their contract? Why didn't they have food? Why? Like, they gave us pizza for breakfast, y'all, because the next day there was pizza stacked. And that job was a gift that kept giving because they had so many violations. And because when you sign the contract, you agree to certain things. I agree that I will feed them. I agree that they'll be in the shade. I agree that they'll have water. I'll agree that, if I'm asking for extra stuff from them, I'll check the box that says, yes, they were in smoke. Yes, they were getting wet. Yes, they're using their own umbrella. Yes, they brought extra. Oh, I used their car. That's extra too. And so it keeps us what do you call the word? Accountable. To say these are the boxes that we're to check. And the thing with the union is they're not going to come and blow up your whole spot. They're just going to come really quiet, like the undercover brother, and have a little meeting over to the side. And next thing you know, you hear that you get a voice in your head saying, Oh, yes, you'll be getting paid for rain and smoke and all of that. And that job paid over and over and over because it was so many things that were off. But the union, they'll send a representative. Say if you're doing a movie and it's covering 2 or 3 months, and you're like, oh my goodness, I wonder if I need to do this, but I'm not really sure. You call them up, and we have a rep that he represents. He'll come Central Florida. He covers Georgia as well, and to help you to stay within the guidelines and to offer you help to say, oh, maybe if you did this like this, it would not only save you money, but then you'll still be in the guidelines. So that way you're still being compliant with the contract that you signed. So you're not on an island by yourself. And the Miami local, they have so many helpers and assistants and people who work on specific things. So, you call them and leave a message or send an email, and they will get back in touch with you.
Cool. Let's open the floor. If you guys have any questions or anything, we have someone that's walking around with a microphone that will come to you. So much more comfortable. Yes, sir. Oh, here she comes. We'll wait for her.
Oh, here she comes. Oh, that's a problem.
Oh, they broke up for good now.
Yeah.
Radio, sorry. Hall & Oates.
I was an extra on a film, and it was a union film, big budget. And when I got paid, and I wasn't a union member, in the envelope it also said if I was going to continue acting, I'd have to become a member of the union.
A must join.
And this was years ago.
Was that in Florida?
That was in Washington, D.C.
Right, okay.
And so if I wanted to become a member, does that make it easier for me to become a member?
I don't think so. Florida doesn't have a contract for film and TV background. There's not you can't do union work on film and TV in Florida on the contract, but we do for commercials. In DC, I'm not sure, but they obviously did since you did it. But that would not make you join. The only thing, did you do a lot of extra work, background work on film and TV?
It was about 5 days.
So, okay, so what happened then is there's a certain amount of people that have to be SAG, and if they didn't have them, then you would get a voucher. And if you had multiple days, then you reached the 3 vouchers, and that's one way to get into the union, and that would make you a must join. So that's the only way I can see that would happen for you. But yeah, that does happen. A lot of actors will try to get their union card that route in a state that, like, L.A., New York, that has a contract for background work. It's a harder way to do it, and your furniture that eats, I think, is referred to for background. You're not treated very well on sets, but it is one way to get it. It's just a very hard way. There's funny books that actors write about how they got their card, kind of thing. Yeah. But yeah, if you have the vouchers, they don't expire. You could join today if you wanted to.
But one thing you could do also, you can go onto the SAG-AFTRA website and check your eligibility. You just put your Social Security in, and it'll tell you if you're eligible or not.
Yeah. That shoot was almost ridiculously nice, like in terms of the way we were pampered.
Oh, yeah.
Like we're being served hors d'oeuvres while we're waiting. And
Yes, the union takes care of you for sure.
Yes.
I didn't go too far into stories of upgrades on commercial stuff because it's my understanding that the questions or the goal is to explain to you why go union instead of non-union. But if you'd like to hear stories of how great the union is, I don't know. Any other questions? Yes, sir. Oh.
Good morning. How are you? Thank you so much
thanks to
for
see
being
you.
here. I appreciate it. So
Thanks
I
for
have
having us.
a random question. Many, many years ago, well, 2016, 15, 14, somewhere around there, I did some jingles for a major television network here in town, Spanish, and it turned into an acting gig, I guess. It became an actual commercial. I did 2 for them, and it aired nationally 6 months, right before soap operas and all that type of stuff. So I have 2.
Nice.
But I never joined anything. It seems like we have a lot of friends in common. I work for Disney. I did all kinds of cool things. But I never really pursued it. So now that I'm hearing this, my question is, how long does it have to be, or is that something that I can show in order to join, or?
Well, were they union? Is your contract a union contract?
It wasn't even a contract. It was one of those things that I was like, this is great exposure for the music.
Yeah.
It's a jingle. Sure, let's do it. And
No,
it helped a lot in other areas.
Right.
I wasn't really thinking as an actor, I guess. You know?
Right. I'm sure that it probably wasn't union. If it was, you would have known. You'd still be collecting money on it if they were using it. That's the thing with the residuals. So unfortunately, it probably wasn't. But that's always something that you can always ask if you're ever presented work is it union or non-union? And we go back to whether it's a legitimate project or whether it's an unsafe project to work on from an actor's point of view. That's a shame that it wasn't union, but you at least as you said, the exposure, and it's cool to see or hear yourself on TV, right? I mean.
The truth is that it really helped in a lot of different ways.
Oh, that's great.
I'll tell you later when I introduce myself, but I guess the question is, if I were to consider it, can I use it? Can I use it to try to see if I can join, or?
It wouldn't be something you could join from just the performance itself,
Right.
if it wasn't a union contract, unfortunately. But it could get you into the door from an agent, maybe, and then the agent could start presenting you with union jobs, and then you could do it that way.
That was on me. I didn't follow up, but yes.
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
But you would know if it was union. But like Carol said, you can go to the website and just type in your number and see your social security number, and if you're eligible, to show you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks
And
for
the
the
thing
question.
with residuals, they're the gifts that keep giving. They give so much, y'all, so that sometimes you get residual checks that the stamp costs more
Oh yeah,
than the check.
0.00.
That
I've got some
part.
of those for different projects. For
0,
real.
1, yes. But it's when they first start coming, it's a beautiful thing. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi. If I say I want to make my film union, does that mean everybody above and below line is supposed to be union? Or if I just say I want union talent?
What a great question. It depends on your state, of course, but we have Global Rule 1 as SAG-AFTRA, which, everyone on board has to be in the union from the talent point of view. In a right-to-work state like this, I know there's times that producers will use non-union crew, and that's kind of one of the things as an actor, we make sure that we're on a union contract and we assume that everybody else is doing the same thing. And technically, yes, everyone should be union. I know sometimes it happens the other way around, but as long as you stay true to yourself, then you hope that the producers are doing the right thing with everything else. Yes, sir, absolutely.
But the pay rate is different for
what? Different contracts?
No, for if they're union, but there's an extra, there's a principal. The rates are different, right?
Oh, yes. So let's take for example a non-union film that shoots and
For
let's
the union contract.
for a union. Oh, so it's a union contract
I'm just saying.
for talent, or for you're asking if the whole thing across the board does. The short answer is yes, but in a right to work state, I don't think it does have to be. That's something I could follow up and find out for you though. It doesn't. Is it just right to work state though? Right. With the crew's non-union? Right. But the talent was all union, right? Or they could be non-union, but working under a union contract, and that's something you can do in a right-to-work state, too. Yeah. So, but all the talent would have to be under the... sorry, I forgot. I was going to... Because, they're filming. He was saying that he's pretty sure that it can be mixed for crew and for cast to be union and non-union.
Yeah, but usually they'll work from, there will be union rules for the non-union because you have to address the union, and I don't technically know if they have to do that. I think it's just more of a bookkeeping, easier just to go, okay, let's do the union rules instead of breaking everything up. That's kind of the assumption I've gotten.
Right. Well, I know like on the commercial ones, they can be mixed because, the 100 non-union out there and then the 40 union in the country club. It's caste system, friends. It is. It's great on the other side, but we're going to run them out. Here's some hot meat. Here you go. Just enjoy. Well, they're having sandwiches, right? So the safety is the biggest thing, for your film to be union, obviously. The legitimacy of the project. And if you've worked both, a union and non-union, you just kind of know the difference. There's a different aura in your project as a whole. But it sounds like everyone's pretty pro-union here, right? Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yes.
What else? Anyone else have any other questions? Yes, sir.
So I just wanted to give, I guess it's a two-part question. So one, I was curious about where you see a lot of the trends going here in Central Florida. We work over at Full Sail University with a lot of grads that, are filmmakers, but also, some grads that are also some actors as well. So it's kind of some of them are mixed in, but just when it comes to a lot of the types of shoots that are happening both here, and I guess we'll even speak to even Miami, because obviously that's a big hub as well. Just saw Bad Boys, that's coming out soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess that's the first question I had is when it comes to trends of the industry. And then the second question is a selfish question as a father, because my 10-year-old daughter has been saying she wants to be an actress. Or actor, I don't know which way they phrase it these days, but wants to be an actor, and I'm like, awesome, I don't know where to go with that at this point, because you're 10.
Wow. Yes. No. Yeah. Wow. Tell her not to. Anything she can do to not. So the trends. I'll just give a little history. Why in '96 was this such a hot spot to be in Florida? Well, we had the incentives. So just to cover it, I might be speaking about things but we had a $265 million cap on it. So somebody sitting out in Los Angeles and they want to make a $10 million film, they could get up to 33% if they shot here. That's all they had to do is shoot in Florida. And that was the incentives. They were set up by Governor Bush, and they were beautiful. There was so much work going here. It was awesome. When Governor Rick Scott got elected, he killed him. 100%. We are now one of 13 states that have zero incentives. There's no incentives to make people shoot here. Georgia watched what we did and said, okay, and we were giving, you get your incentive check, the very last thing you would do. So you shot your film, you hired enough Florida actors and crew and everything else, and you were completely done. That's when you get your check. Georgia said, we'll give it to them before they even start. And that's what Georgia does. Georgia said when they started their incentive program, they would never get to $1 billion paid out in incentives. They did in 2021 and 2022 and 2023. So Georgia just, we could have been Georgia. This could have been the heyday place. It is one of the most frustrating things in the world. If you're an actor in Orlando and you don't have any credits, getting a job in Atlanta is next to impossible. And you can say that you're going to work local to Atlanta. That's the big thing. So what we have is modified local. So I did in 2007, I did a show that was my first modified local. So they give you $300 for travel. You can get there any way that you can. This shot in Charleston. And so I drove, and it would cost me like $60 in gas, so I made a little money. They will also give you a hotel room, as long as you stay. And that's, I think that's it for the modified local. That's it. So you get travel and you get that. But that has gone away because there's so many actors that will do it. They would do it for free if it came down to it. That they would. But so many actors will work local, but the talent is like, for these parts, 2 lines on Stranger Things. There's not an actor in the world that would want just to have that credit on their resume, so they would, work local and all that. But that's all kind of gone away as well. So that's the incentives thing. So back to the incentives.
Stay on incentives, because in Florida now, some counties
That's what I was going to do.
will offer incentives for people to come and shoot. So Pinellas County, they had, because they do the Hallmark movies there. Yeah, right. Of the seashore and the ships and all.
Blood on the beach. That's a real film. Blood
The
on the
Love
beach.
Boat, whatever they're shooting. So different counties offer incentives. So the thing is to check. Like in Miami, the mayor of Doral, he's really union sensitive and he's really kind towards us. And they've offered incentives for shoots there and some other places as well.
So Orange County has zero incentives.
That
and
part.
I went last time that the council met, and I was the very first person to sign up. I made a point to be. I was there before anybody else. The paper went out. I signed up. There were 146 people showed up, or representatives showed up for different things. Everyone's asking for money at this meeting. And they said, they came on and they said, okay, 136 people signed up, so we're only going to go for 30 minutes. We'll go with, everyone can have 1 minute before to speak, and then we move to the next person, and then when 30 minutes is up, we're done. This was the council meeting. And so I was the first to sign up. I'm all ready and getting, you know, and they start and they call, well, I shouldn't throw the companies, but they call a big theme park company first. So I'm getting ready. Oh, it's not my turn. So then they go, and then they pick a huge hotel chain, and this one after another. I never even got to speak. I was so angry. There's another meeting coming up on May 7th, which hopefully I'll be able to speak. But we're just asking for $100,000 for the Orange County to match it. And what Orange County is asking is, okay, well, how many hotel rooms is this incentive going to fill? How many meals will that buy from restaurants and local? And you can't, with our incentives, you can't judge it that way. But when you know, Gaylord Palms says that they want to bring in Aspen Dental, well, and there's going to be 222 rooms. They're going to have, you know, they can tangibly touch that. And the city council, they don't understand that tourists will come if that house was the house that was in whatever. The tourists that used to go to Disney are now spending a week in that little city where they did Walking Dead because they want to see all the locations where they did it. I mean, it's the cleanest industry. I'm preaching to the choir here, but it is. We've proven that every dollar spent to attract film and TV in Florida makes $8, and it's clean money. It's just there's no reason why we shouldn't have incentives. So, but county to county is the only way that we're going about it right now. Film Florida is a wonderful organization that is fighting on behalf of everybody to try to bring more union work and to bring you know, get incentives back from the county or from the state all the way down to the counties.
It's like Dolphin Tale. When the first Dolphin Tale, before the first Dolphin Tale, they had like this many people visiting. Dolphin Tale comes up, poof. The whole economy over there, everything is new, everybody's working, everybody's coming. And we try to tell our legislature, you know, we've had trips to Tallahassee and just look at the numbers. Oh, but no.
There was a church that there was a big scene they were shooting for that, and there was a church near the location of it, and they ran out of parking for the background and everything, so they gave the church I think my numbers are right, $75,000 for the day to allow us to park there. And ask that church how they feel about incentives. You know, I mean, it's just it's such a wonderful thing, and I don't understand why we don't have it, but that's why we're here trying to fight
Yes.
to get it back to Florida. Yeah, we could have totally been Georgia.
Yes.
Did we have a question over here? Oh, I'm sorry, we weren't done with the second one. That's my
Sorry,
fault.
it was my selfish question.
Oh,
About my
no, his daughter,
Yes.
the actress. Yeah, she's going to be an actor. But she'll
Yeah.
tell you, okay, my son started when he was 4. He'd be at Disney. I understand as a
Sorry.
parent how kids can become really, really rotten and terrible. Because I was on set with my son. Chicago called for him. And we need your son. We're going to put him at what's the Hawaiian hotel at Disney?
Polynesian.
Yeah, Polynesian, yes, child. My husband was fishing somewhere. He's like, I can come and take him. No, I got him. And I pull up to the thing, and I tell Carol Bailey, oh, no, we don't have your name. My son is 4, y'all. Yeah, that's Stephen over. Oh, Stephen Bailey. Welcome, Stephen. The boy is 4. He can't even hardly spell. I mean, he could spell his name, but yes. And then we go inside, and they have, everything is in his name, the 4-year-old. You have the cards. We had a luau dinner. We had a big old hotel. Oh, we'll be calling for the wake-up call, and somebody will be there to pick Steven up in the morning. Oh, no, I'm going with him. He's not going by himself. Who does that? And then you get on set, right? And then there are the people from California and everything. And the kids are just brats. I am not going to do that because I haven't gotten my money. And the kid is 5. And well, I won't say what I would do because there are people present. But yeah, so my child is there. And I was like, oh, so do you want something to drink? Oh, no, Mom, she's going to get it for me. Excuse me, could you get me a drink, please? And they're catering to the children, like one after the. And so you have to, for them to be in the industry, you still have to maintain your parent-child balance. Like, I am still your parent. You can work. We're going to take the money to the bank, and I may give you some. I'd never tell him how much he was making for anything or showed him anything, because then they have ideas of things they need to buy. And then one time he had an audition for a commercial, and his friend wanted to go see the to Bomber at the airport. And so he went to see the Bomber because he wanted to see the Bomber. And at the same time that the commercial audition was happening. And then he came home, oh, I think I could go to the audition now. No, you can't. Your time has passed. And so it's just, it's life and, you know, the balance.
So to get your 9-year-old into the business, it would be simple as starting, you know, so they do have some classes around town that you could get them in. I recommend doing as many plays as humanly possible, theater, because that's going to help them in the long run. I'm a proud father of a 15-year-old and an 18-year-old. My 18-year-old's in Tallahassee, but, you know, I had them both do SAG-AFTRA work on commercials because back when they were younger, it was, you know, and thank God it didn't bite them and they didn't want to, you know, pursue it. But I would have, you know, we support our kids no matter what they want. So I would have supported it, but luckily I escaped that. But what I try to emphasize is if it's in your daughter, it's going to be in her for life. And so, you know, at 9, like when she was 4, that was like yesterday. I mean, it was years ago, but so I would recommend telling her that, you know, do all the plays you can do, and when the time's right, we will look for film and TV. And if she really enjoys the performing aspect of it and it's in her, she could go off and be a doctor. And when she's 75 and retired, she'll find that little theater in the sound town she retires in, and she'll do it. Because if it's in you, you can't do anything else. And she'll find a way, whether you help her or not. So don't discourage her, of course not. But you could get her into some of the classes. There's a lot of scams out there, as we all know. You don't have to pay for an agent. They'll make their money off of you. Right. You don't have to do the non-union work once you're union, all that stuff. I'd be happy to give you some names and stuff after this of, you know, where you could start her going, but try not to. Just for your own sanity.
Morgan Freeman didn't get his biggest role until he was 55.
If it's in her, you know, there's nothing you can do about it, you know, but hopefully it's not.
Thank you.
I hope that helps. I'll give you some names afterwards, yes. All right.
You two have done a lot of commercials, and I still watch commercials TV, and I wonder if there's something like commercial royalty, for instance, or I see the Toyota woman
Yes.
more than any other person on television, including film stars, the Toyota girl, the Allstate Mayhem guy.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I wondered, what do they get paid? Are they
Oh,
very
child.
wealthy, or they have some sort of contract?
This is my world. So if you get really bored, you can look me up, and I've got all my commercials and film and TV and stuff, and so that's I do film and TV obviously, but commercials. So. That's a different thing for like the Mayhem and stuff that spokesperson pay, but they also get the residuals. But for somebody that watches fireworks on a Disney commercial, and it's a SAG contract, and they're a principal performer, you have to expect nothing, but you could make $200,000 or $300,000 off of it, and usually it's somewhere in between there. I did a ADT commercial, which I put the sign in the ground, and the girl rides up on the bike, and then I shut the door to my van, my ADT van, shut the door and turn and shake their hand, and they took me shutting the door and turning to shake their hand and used it as a button for the very end of 7 national commercials. And in the commercial, that's when the ADT thing would fly up and you'd see me and shake the hand. And at the time, they were sponsoring the Indoor Arena Football League, which was on ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox. And so that was 7 national commercials running at one time. It was very nice. I won't talk numbers, but both of my kids' colleges are paid for. I have no debt, and that was all ADT. So your residuals that come with it, but you can't expect it. I did in Los Angeles, I did a 10-10-220 commercial, which I still have to explain to people of a certain age. So there was this thing called long distance, but it was with Terry Bradshaw, Toby Keith, and, you know, dial 10-10-220. And that thing was just insane, the amount of money. But what they did is they lifted it. So one of the endings, Toby Keith is there, and at the very end he says, "Have you got any threes?" Because they think we're playing poker. And then the other ending of it, Terry throws in his cards and goes, "How do you like me now?" which is a Toby Keith song. So that becomes 2 separate national commercials, and the pay rate starts and just pays on both of them. So it's all the contracts for the commercials cover all of that, and the residuals come. Now, as a producer, if I could get some actor and they're talented and pay them a one-time fee of $3,000, I would. I mean, that makes sense to me, right? Especially if I can get a good actor to do it. But there's even ways around the commercial contracts. I had a buddy that did a pizza commercial. I won't say what the pizza was, but why do I mention some brands and not others? I don't know. Anyway, and it was a family at a long table, and they're eating, and then the actors behind them, it was like a pit crew, and so they would, get their pizzas and their sodas and everything, and then as they're eating, the pit crew would come in and like adjust their forks and put the napkin on them, everything, and then go back. And so, just like how great the pizza is. So they shot all day, 11-hour day, whatever, and then at the very end, the director's like, "Oh, I got an idea. You're a pit crew. Why don't we put helmets on you? You put helmets on you." And they, "Oh, yeah." So there's 3 actors on each side, and they put helmets on. Well, that's the shot they used, and all of them got downgraded to non-principals and didn't make any more money off of it. If you're not recognizable or if you edit it out, one more upgrade story. There was a commercial for Disney, and there was they had 150 extras, and then they had a Dumbo extras, and it was myself and another gentleman, and then 2 kids. And after a long day, I remember the AD comes over. He's like, "Tom, Adam, which one do you want to come?" And I was tired, and I said, "Oh, no, you go, Tom." So Tom went, and in the commercial, you see Tom and his fake daughter on Dumbo, and then it's a Verizon commercial, and then the principal pops up in front of them. Well, he's on for 3 seconds, he's interacting with the principal, and he got an upgrade, and he made 6 digits off of that.
But then you have
That happens.
you have national, and then you have regional commercials. So, for example, for a Publix commercial, it's a regional because it depends on, Publix is not in every single state. And so I did a Publix commercial. I've done a few Publix commercials. And the thing he's saying about interacting with the principal and being recognizable and all of that, that really matters. I did a Publix shoot. We're doing Habitat for Humanity, and they needed somebody to run a wheelbarrow. I'm Jamaican. I will run that wheelbarrow. So they had me run the wheelbarrow straight to the camera, come straight at it, and left straight at it, right. I came home, husband, oh my goodness, I think I got an upgrade, because I'm going straight to the camera. Oh my word. You saw the commercial? There is no way you knew that was me, because I was just a blur. Just the blurred lines going to and fro. And I did another Publix commercial where they had me, because the camera picks me up wherever I am. It just grabs me, and they're like, "Oh, I need you to walk behind him." So I'm walking behind him, the principal, he's doing his thing. And you see the commercial, and if you know it's me, you know it's me. But they just took my little round face, or it was larger back then, my round face, and they blurred it all the way out. It's just like, really? But then I've done some ways. My line was really. It was a aprons commercial. They did really. I spent 5 hours doing all kinds of reallys, but really. And that, because it was regional, it doesn't pay as much as a national, but every time it's shown in the market, then you still get paid based on the market.
And that's the question people ask a lot is, if you have a Super Bowl commercial, does it pay more? And it does not. You get paid the exact same, and the residuals are just the same as everything else. But it's still, I guess you're excited about the exposure. But anytime we get any union job, it's like, and then it's over and we're unemployed again.
But you can't even get excited till after you shot it, you're going home and you really know that you've been on set. Because I was on hold for that J-Lo Super Bowl commercial. I was on hold. Hold. Oh, wait, they're supposed to shoot today. Oh.
Yeah, they don't call you and tell you.
Nobody called me. Hello, friend who was also on hold. Did you hear anything? Oh, yeah, they're supposed to shoot today. And you don't know. You just know that it was today the shoot was happening, and you are not on set. That means that they did not pick you to be on the Super Bowl commercial. I was this close, y'all.
And then you can shoot it and get it outgraded too. I had a 2-day DiGiorno pizza commercial, and it was a fake son and a fake mom, and the kid is asking a question and says, "Mommy, where do babies come from?" And mom and dad, we share a look, and the mom says, "When a man and woman love each other, the stork brings them a baby, and we kind of we dodged that one. And then he says to me, "Dad, where did the pizza come from?" "Son, for the last time, it isn't delivery; it's DiGiorno." And a funny pizza commercial. We did 2-day shoot and everything. They never even edited it. I went that far because I wanted to get it for my reel at the time, and it never even got edited, much less played. So you get your day rate, which is fine, but there's so many nightmare stories about commercials that are good and bad and outgraded and upgraded and all that. So if you're in it for the long haul, then eventually you'll have all that happen to you.
Yeah, because I was on set for a commercial. I was an extra. I love extra work because you pretty much always get overtime and meal penalties, and it adds up to more than the basic rate. So it's just
Which is $4.29 for the day right now.
that part. So it's always good just to be on set. So they were doing the Incredibles. Incredibles were really big back then. And so they had a costume. It was spandex. And they asked a friend of mine to wear this yellow spandex with pink embellishments and the boot cover. And she's like, "I'm not wearing that. Just like that, y'all." And they're like, "I'd like you to wear this." "Oh, yeah. So where do I change?" "Okay, I'll be right back." Changed into my little spandex. Oh my goodness. And I was walking behind the principals, and every time they walk, the director's like, and when they give you direction, that's kind of like a tell sometimes, not all the time. "Oh, okay, all right. When they move, I need you to go behind." "Okay, go behind, go behind." So then I had to, we were in East Orlando. We had to drive to West Orlando for the next part of the shoot. I got my spandex on still, y'all. I had to stop at the gas station and get gas with my spandex and my goggles and my people. Yeah, I'm just regular. So we go over to the college park to do the next part of the shoot, and everybody's sitting, and I'm still an extra, still happy to be on set. It's a long day. We're getting good. So the director says, "When I point to you, I want you to raise your hand." Okay. And so we're there having a Sunday school or whatever meeting we're having, and they point, and I raise my hand, and so then it was 9 people that came from Miami to be principals, and all of Orlando people were all extras. Like, okay, great, they came from Miami, but we're here. Okay, great, we may get an upgrade. I don't know. And about a month and a half later, my husband's like, "I saw you on TV." I'm like, "No, you didn't." He's like, "Yes, I did." "What was I doing?" He says, "Your whole face was in the screen and your finger went up." I said, "Oh my goodness." The next morning, the union calls, because the union is on top of everything. They called, they're like, "Okay, we're sending you a contract. You got upgraded." So I got my extra pay. Then I got another contract to say, "I'm now principal." And so it happens. You can't just write a book and say, you just go expecting. It's like, I'm on set, that's half the battle. Because I was about to get my union card earlier on a Tiger Woods shoot, and because they took me and put me in this tent. But then it started raining in Florida. You know what happens when it rains.
Get a bump for wet pay.
No, it was the end of the shoot. That's a wrap. Everybody go home, pack up your things.
Well, I feel like we're talking more about the actor point of view, though. Is there any filmmaker questions or anything about the union? Anything we can answer? Did we answer yours about the money? It just
Last one
depends.
Might be now I got so interested in commercials. What state or city has the most commercial work?
That's a good question. I would say Los Angeles without question. That's a good question without question. It's got to be Los Angeles. Yeah, for sure.
But, people come here and try to make Florida whatever state they want it to be. Like if you saw In the Heat, you saw In the Heat, right? Okay, my son went to school in Winter Park. He spent a lot of years in Winter Park. So I know what Winter Park looks like. So she is getting her nails done in Winter Park, Florida. That Winter Park on that screen did not look anything like Winter Park, Florida. And then she said, "Oh, I'm going to take the turnpike and go to Georgia." And then at the end of the movie, "Made in Georgia," $150,000 for that peach. Is it more now?
Yeah.
I think that's what they paid to have that peach on the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was not made in Florida, but they make it. Oh, it's Winter Park, Florida.
Every state has their things. I know for Battlefield LA, they recreated the Santa Monica Pier in Louisiana. At the time, Louisiana was the state with all the incentives. They still have wonderful incentives, but every state, like I say, we don't have any as of now, but we'll get them.
Yes.
Any other questions?
questions?
Anything else? All right. Well, there's also good things that happen with film and TV. I've had several TV shows where I was, one day player, and then it turns into 7 episodes or 20-some episodes in one case. So that kind of stuff happens too. It does happen, but it's one of those things where you have to have credits to get credits. I just did a Chicago Fire, and I mean, the acting that I did in that, there was nothing where you're like, oh, yeah, we definitely needed somebody of that caliber to fly up to Chicago and do the job. I mean, it was only because they could look at my credits and be like, oh, he's done this and this and this. He knows what he's doing, and we need him. And so, it is one of those, how do I get work if you won't hire me unless I have work? So it is very frustrating, which is one of the reasons a 9-year-old should not be in the business. It's frustrating, but the rewards are definitely in the journey. I hate to be cliche, but they really are. And if it's in you, there's nothing you can do about it. I wish you could. I wish you could do an operation and take it out of you, but you can't.
I was born this way. I intend to stay this way.
Awesome. Hey, another question.
Yay.
Let's say you're doing an all-union shoot, and you see somebody walking down the street that's just perfect for your part, and they're not union. Is there a way to introduce them to the union quickly so that they fit in with the contracts?
That'd be a Taft-Hartley. Yeah. But by the time they got to the point where they've pulled permits and cast and done all that stuff, I don't think that would really happen. I mean, it could happen with, like if Soderbergh is doing something and he has this vision of maybe like that guy there, I want to put him in this. I mean, it's a lottery ticket, but yes, you can. The answer is yes, you can Taft-Hartley someone into the union and they could be in there. Now they would have to pay the dues to join right away, and in this situation, he would probably write the check because they want that person so much. But I wouldn't count on that as a career way to go.
And are union dues the same everywhere?
Well, the cost to join is it's universal for the joining of it, but then it's based on how much you make. So yes, it is. If you don't make any, and there's 90% of the actors don't make over the amount to have to pay, but then it gives a percentage of what you make. So some people's dues are a lot more than others.
But LA and New York, it costs more to join there. Then we're a mid-sized local, Miami local, and Georgia was a small, but now it's a mid-size as well. So it's about $3,000 something to join. But the thing is, if you're joined in, say, Georgia or Florida, then you move to LA, then you pay the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes it like the.
And usually, like, you book a job, they're like, okay, we'll pay the difference because we want you on this job, and so you have an LA card or New York.
I'm going to have to get paid if I'm going to ask any more questions.
No, go ahead.
No, you're fine.
That's it.
Thank you.
Sweet.
Oh, this was fun.
Well, I hope we answered questions for you.
Any questions?
Please make your films union. Oh,
Go
yes,
ahead.
sir.
Well, I just wanted to follow up on what I asked before about the kind of. These are all signatories to the Producers Guild, right? All the unions. So is there a resource? Do I go to the Producers Guild to get what the contract is for everybody? Do I have to go to each individual union resource to find out what those contracts are?
So you mean like if you are the overall producer and you wanted to hire a director from the Directors Guild
Yeah.
and an actor from, I think once you make your project union, that kind of opens the, once you find who's it's going to be, that's what you're going to have. So like when you're a director, yeah. The overall producer, I guess, would choose whether they use union for everything.
Oh, okay.
That's what I would think.
And then if you have questions, you can always call Miami Local or wherever you are. Yeah, they'd be glad to answer.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. Give yourselves a hand.
Thank you.
That was fun.
Thank you very much.
Vouchers for